WOR's special tribute to Gene Shepard, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9.
This WOR Radio's special tribute to Gene Shepard is brought to you in part by the famous Flemington Fur Company, Flemington, New Jersey.
You know, just when Shepard's starting to sing The Bear Missed the Train, and you got your tape recorder all set up, all of a sudden, what happens? That's right. In comes the sound. So Shepard will start to sing. See, oh, the bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. And now he's walking, and you're saying, quick, get my present. Hurry up. Get the tape recorder started. The bear missed the train.
We are unable to complete your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator for assistance.
The bear missed the train, and now he's walking. You say, oh, I missed the best part.
That is the voice of Gene Shepard. And boy, are you going to hear his voice tonight. You're going to hear him like we haven't heard him in a long time. With the original tapes and the material. We lost this great giant just a couple of weeks ago. And it's taken us this long to get the tapes together. This is the kind of a career that he had. It's very difficult to synopsize a giant like Gene Shepard. There's so much content, and he was a master of words. So shortening him, I don't know if there's a Reader's Digest version of Gene Shepard that anybody could do justice with. He's long form. He created the art form, as a matter of fact, long before Mort Saul or Shelley Berman or any of the great talkers back in those days. And as a matter of fact, he was on the cusp of television and defeated it with his own sense of imagination. And he shared that with us. He had got to be such a great giant in the industry that we refer to people who do these kinds of things still as having Shepard-like qualities. So he is one of a kind. And tonight, I would be remiss if I didn't thank WOR, the very same station that we're on, for the privilege of broadcasting these shows for so many years. And he was on the air for about 21 years at 10 o'clock at night or 10:15, depending on where they scheduled the news. And he did something that gave us all, I guess, the sense of comfort that we can only get from the intimacy of radio. And I wanted to say these things because they probably should be said by our station rather than another radio station or television or a newspaper, because this was his home. This is where we all grew with him. And since Gene was a master of radio imagination, I want you to close your eyes, not if you're driving, and keep thinking of that time, that special time with Gene Shepard. Pretend you're right there in the moment with him. And let's get it back to where it was when we had this famous theme.
Tell you, it's more fun than a large crowd of monkeys swimming around in a barrel of Beefeater's gin, bouncing olives on their noses. Bring it up, Jim! Up, I say, up!
First thing you do is let them know that you're there. This requires volume. The second thing you need to do is to, after you get their attention, is to let them know that you're calling pigs. This is the second part of the call. And the third thing is to even get the little fellows that have just left their mama, get their attention. So it goes like this.
And now we got all the listeners. Let's get ready to go. Let's go, Chip. Now we've called them all to attention, even the little ones that have just left their mommies. Woo-wee! Woo! Biggie, biggie, biggie! And out of the west, a lone stranger gallops his head high, watching for evil on all sides. Yes! Who is it? It's the lone Shepard, by God. Woo-hoo! Here, Piggy. Come on, let's sing it out there. Get your whole body into it. Let's go. Let's hear them. Oh, my God. Oh, it's exciting. We got the crowd assembled. God, that was fantastic, Jim. Phew-wee, if I may use an expression.
More from the Gene Shepard archives next on WOR on October 16th of this year. Here's your host, Joey Reynolds.
Gene Shepard in the early days was a host of a radio show on WOR, which moved around a little bit, but for about 20 years it was on around 10 o'clock at night. And you're listening to it right now, as it really was. Around the time he developed The Christmas Story, which was a radio piece, became a magazine article in the Playboy magazine, and got very cult and became a film, which we're going to have the rest of our lives. The legacy of that modern piece of work will be with us forever, as will these stories, which Gene tells, including the World's Fair. Do you remember this in 1963?
I've had this vague sensation from since we're all living here, it's America, the 20th century, 1963, and out here on Flushing Meadows, we're building a new World's Fair. It's going to open up in 1964. There's something vaguely ominous about world fairs. Almost all world fairs in the past have been held just before some fantastic disaster struck. The Chicago World's Fair was held at a time when the Depression was getting into its absolutely worst. The Depression had hardly started when the Chicago World's Fair was a big thing, and everybody cheered and applauded it. And then, shortly after the fairs closed up, the Depression became like a gigantic deep freeze. And of course, you don't have to say anything about the New York World's Fair of 1939, what that one was before. And each World's Fair always is dedicated to the proposition that man has made tremendous strides forward. Now, that's probably the most ironical part of the World's Fairs. Each one is dedicated to the proposition that we're going to celebrate the fact that man has now finally burst into the sunlight. Man has burst into the sunlight, and forever now we'll be marching forward on the great wave of technical progress that will carry us to eternal happiness. It's always the assumption. And one of the listeners sent me a beautiful brochure, which I have now filed with my great file of trivia. And this brochure was a watercolor brochure. It was called Official Views of a Century of Progress Exposition in Chicago. It was published at the time. And reading it, is almost like looking at a world underwater, some kind of world that was made out of ivory soap. Every line exudes the kind of feeling that, well, at long last, here we are the pinnacle of civilization, and everything is fine. Now, over here on the left, you see the Hall of Progress. They had the Hall of Progress. I don't know whether they mentioned the Nazis in it. I doubt it very much, but there was the Hall of Progress, and they had the big Hall of Peace. They had the Hall of this and the Hall of that, and they had the Hall of Science and the Hall of Happiness and the Hall of Reverent Beauty, and all of these various halls. And, of course, all the while, off stage, guys were wheeling the props into position for the next fantastic act in the enormous drama. Now, I suspect that the World's Fair, I wonder whether the World's Fair will even touch at all, at any point, on what's going on in America today, on the problem. I doubt whether it'll even be discussed anywhere. There'll be no point in bringing that up. and it won't even touch upon, yet there's no reason for it, I suppose. Looking at the fair in one way, it's a fair, that's all. But a World's Fair is something bigger than a fair, and I received a letter from one of the World's Fair people over the weekend, and it was in context with a thing we had done a couple of days ago regarding the burying of a time capsule. I don't think other World's Fairs, I don't know whether the World's Fairs in Europe go in for this, but America goes in for this to a great extent. You know what the time capsule is done. You know, they have this stainless steel thing they bury, and on top of the ground they put a little monument that says, "Do not open until 6339." You know, that kind of thing. This attitude, and the new one we're going to bury, the man who wrote to me is apparently in charge of burying time capsules. And he wrote to me and he says, we're going to bury another one. And he had a fine brochure made up on how they were going to bury it, and had a diagram, cross-section of the ground and all, how it was going to be buried. And it was going to be buried for the people of 5,000 years from now. What is 5,000 years added to, let's see, what is this, 1964, the fair is going to open? Well, add 5,000, what will that be? That will be, that would be 5,069, 64. Sure. 66? That's what I said, 69, 64. That's a long time from now. But it presupposes it supposes that for 5,000 years, there will be a continuous line, that civilization will continue in a continuous line, and then finally the big day will arrive. And for 5,000 years, that monument is going to be standing there that says, do not open until 69, 64. And nobody will, you know. For 5,000 years, they're not going to open it in a pig's ear. I don't know whether you know anything about the pyramids. They had a lot of things that said on the front of them, do not open. It's things like, anybody who opens this will get the curse of all the pharaohs cast upon him immediately. The old king, or it says the pharaoh, or whatever it was. And yet that didn't stop guys, and it was only a few thousand. 5,000 years, nothing. It was only like 3,000 years, and they were chopping their way through. But the thing that I think we suppose is that people will be living pretty much the way we're living for the next 5,000 years. Right there on Flushing Meadows, and they'll be walking around driving their cars and going to Met games. Oh, sure, they assume the stadium will be open by then, and they'll be going to the Met games out there. And then finally, the Mayor Wagner of that period will be interviewed on the Martha Dean show of that time, and WOR will have a big ceremony. We'll probably bring a direct remote from there, and I think a few of the TV stations might even cover it. They're going to open up the big thing. 69, 64 will be the year, and somebody will deliver a ringing oration. The people of the state of New York, in the year 1964, laid down this time capsule for us here, the residents of the year 69-64. As we know, these people were people of heroic dimension. They were people of fantastic vision and fortitude. Well, it never could occur to us, apparently, that the people of the year 69-64 can have... Our language could be dead by then. Our written language can completely be dead. This sounds like like you're really blowing bubbles. But I wonder if an Egyptian of the great period of the great dynastic period in Egypt, when it was a highly complex society, very, very complex, totally civilized as far as they knew, could ever possibly have comprehended a day when it would take years to even begin to decipher their language. Their language was that dead, the written language of the time. And furthermore, most of the stuff they dig up, even to this day, their world is so remote from us that most of the stuff that's dug up today requires a great deal of analysis, and even at that point, they're not sure about a large amount of stuff they dig up. What makes you think that they would really know what a TV set is if they dig it up 5,000 years from now? We assume, oh, well, what do you mean they have TV? Well, what makes you assume that? Well, you know, why? Why do you assume that? What makes you think they'll know what a yo-yo is when they dig it up? Seriously. I mean, a Chevy. We just assume that it's going to be, what we'll assume is that the new model Chevy will be out then, and it will be just a little change from the Chevy of now, and a little bit different grill. I've got the different thing in the back there. But speaking of the Antediluvian past, this is WOR AM and FM New York. But I'm curious about that attitude. It's a great feeling, and yet everywhere we go, you find people attempting to cling to the belief that time doesn't really pass at all.
There's more Gene Shepard after this.
Listening to Gene Shepard on WOR. I'm not Gene, I'm Joey Reynolds. I'm a fan. He was so overpowering as a performer that no one could ever step in his shoes. It's almost ridiculous to have to sit here and MC his tapes. But he was a guy who really could speak for himself very well. And he was topical. Gene would start out here and end up over there. Or he would start out there and end up over here. It was like radio highlight. And there was a night that he talked about crime.
Oh, I'll tell you, crime is taking a real evil turn. Now, you know, money is one thing. The guy's stealing dough. The dough is just paper, after all, ultimately. But did you hear about the fantastic crime that just occurred? Well, it only occurred about 2 blocks from here. In fact, it was only about a week ago. It was really a dastardly crime. It's the only way I could describe it, dastardly. And it's a comment on our times, and it's a comment on a lot of stuff. Right down here, not more than 2 blocks away, there's a seafood restaurant. And this seafood restaurant, like a lot of them here in New York City, has in the window, the main window, they've got a tank with lobsters in it. You know, swimming around. You've seen those places, see? Well, everything was going fine. It was dinner time, and people having their little martinis and stuff. They're all sitting around the seafood joint there, and the waiters were rushing back and forth. And all of a sudden, out of the night, and through the swinging doors came this wino, drunker than a skunk. He rails in, you know, and he just reels in through the swinging doors, and without any hesitation, he just reaches out, see? Just reaches out with a fantastic quick move. That's what got him, see, because he was a drunk. He comes right on his hand, lashes out like a snake into the tank, and grabs a live lobster. And he just turns around and runs out the swinging door, and he takes off down 6th Avenue like a bat out of hell with all the waiters chasing him, trailing buns, salt shakers, yelling, "Stop, thief! Stop! Stop!" The guy's running down the street with a lobster. Did you hear about that? Oh, man, what a scene right out of a Charlie Chaplin movie. Now he's crossing 6th Avenue. He's now nearing Radio City Music Hall. The crowds are screaming. He's running up the side of the building. He's carrying that great big, look at that. Hold it there. Thank you. Great. And he stole this lobster. Well, when I read that, I says, oh, you know, that is crime. Because let's face it, today, lobsters are rarer than dollar bills by any means. And it's a sad thing. And when I heard about that lobster rustler, that guy coming in out of the street, and, of course, overcome by insatiable hunger, he comes in out of the street, reeling, reaches out and into the tank, grabs and this is a live one, of course. He grabs a live lobster, and he takes off like a bat out of hell and runs down the street with a lobster. Now, I hope he got a good one, because there are little ones and big ones in them tanks. But the thing that hit me immediately, give me a little romantic music, please, if you will. I'm thinking about this lobster robbery. Now, a lot of lesser observers of the scene would probably just think that's one of those funny things that happen, you know, little funny kicker at the end of the news kind of thing. No, I'm going to take a different view, friends. Friends, fellow victims, fellow travelers on the yellow brick road of eternity in the 20th century. I'm going to take a different view. And my view is essentially this. This is the first overt example we have of a man stealing something which is rapidly going into the realm of true value. And I just think that the guy running in, and remember, he's running the risk of being caught for robbery, everything else, you know. And what does he steal? He does not steal cash. He doesn't come in and reach his hand into the till and run out with a bunch of dollar bills. He grabbed a lobster. He must have thought about this. This was obviously a well-planned caper. He was a little drunk, but he knew what he was doing. Because first of all, he grabbed the lobster in the right place. I talked to one of the waiters. He says he knew about lobsters. You grab a lobster in the wrong place, you're going to know about it. I'll tell you that. This guy grabbed them right. He says he grabbed them right, just perfect. He says this guy was a good lobster man. He says not only that, he says, you know, this same waiter I talked to him at this place, you see. He says, you know, I don't know whether you've ever tried to catch a lobster in a tank. He says, these were fresh lobsters. He says, sometimes it takes me upwards of 15 minutes to catch a lobster in it. They move like, you know, like Billy be damned. This guy knew what he was doing. He says, he moved like a snake. He says, I had never saw anything like it. He says, this guy could work here anytime he wanted. He said, he grabbed that lobster and he took off like a bird. And he said, as he ran down the street, he said, me and Sam and Aki, you know, we took out after him. And our towels flapping. He said, we run down the street after him, and he said, you could see the feelers and the claws and all that stuff. He says, this guy's running. And he said, people looking at him. He says, some people hollered, stop thief. And he turned right at 49th Street. He says, we never did see him again. He's probably got in the subway with it. Then it was his date or something. You know, he sat down in the subway with his lobster. Now, I'd like to point out something. This shows what the price of food is getting like in our country. You know? There's going to be a day when some guy's going to come right up to you. You're going to be sitting there in this restaurant eating a steak, see, which is going to cost you half your next month's paycheck, you know. You'll be chewing away. And you just get the knife and fork, and suddenly two masked bandits come out of the dark, grab a hold of your steak, and run.
I wonder if Gene Shepard enjoyed himself as much as we enjoy listening to him.
Hey, why do I enjoy doing this show so much? What's the matter with me? I can't figure it out. You know? It bothers me sometimes because, you're supposed to look at your work as work. No, I'll tell you, the Protestant ethic causes me a little problems at this point. And, really, the other day, this guy interviewed me. He says, you must get very tired, always thinking of new things or trying to do stuff every night on your show and all that. And I said, yes, that is true. I get extremely tired. And he said, yes, it must drain everything out of you. I just don't know how you can continue to do this, producing 45 minutes of stuff every night. Most nightclub comics, they got 20 minutes of material, which they work, milk like a cow around the country for years on end. You must really, it must be a terrible strain. There must be an awful lot of work. Yes. As a matter of fact, and of course there I am having trouble with the Protestant ethics. See, I have to pretend. Yes, indeed. Well, hello there, Protestant ethics.
We'll be back with more from the Gene Shepard Archives on WOR. America's talk and information station, Radio 710, WOR. And now on WOR, more of a tribute to Gene Shepard. Here's your host, Joey Reynolds.
Every day we lose someone from our lives, but some are always with us. Gene Shepard remains one of those people who will always be with us, even in the millennium. Would like to have had him here for this New Year's party in the year 2000.
New Year's is something else because it's intertwined with your own life. No question about it. And so for that reason, you're very mingled. On the one hand, people always tend to look at any kind of a holiday, and it's groovy. Wow, let's go down to Geno's, let's go down to McDonald's, drink a lot of, get all root beered up, yell and holler, blow horns, and but on the other hand, 19 whatever the year is, whatever year you're leaving, 1902, 1987, whatever the year is that you have just lived through. That year is gone forever. Never again will there be another 1902. And you lived in it. That's it. You went through it. Even if you're only 5 years old or if you're 100 years old, you lived through that 1 year. And so there's a curious kind of congratulations guys give each other. It's secretly inside. One of the reasons why people celebrate the new year, you ever thought about it? Is because everybody has survived another year. No, that's true. That's really true. That's what the really ultimate reason for it is. That people have come through a year. You have lived in another year. And of course, back in the days when living through a year was a lot more difficult than it is now. I mean, when people, of course, it still isn't easy if you listen to the news. But the facts of the matter are that the whole celebration idea of the new year. And in every tribe, there is something that resembles the New Year that we have. It may be celebrated at different times and may have different names and all that, but it all means another year has gone by. And some people weep, other people applaud. And it's always this intermingling. Here, for example, is a passing of the year. Very few poets today write much about holidays. I don't know why. Very few writers write about holidays as they affect people, what happens on a holiday. But this is Robert Service. This was written in 1892. He says, my glass is filled. Remember, he wrote this in the middle of the gay 90s. He says, my glass is filled. My pipe is lit. My den is all a cozy glow. And snug before the fire I sit and wait to feel the old year go. I dedicate to solemn thought amid my too unthinking days this somber moment, sadly fraught with much of blame and little of praise. Old year, upon the stage of time you stand to bow your last adieu. A moment, and the prompter's chime will ring the curtain down on you. Your mien is sad, your step is slow. You falter as a sage in pain. Yet turn, old year, before you go and face your audience again. That sphinx-like face, remote, austere. Let us all read whate'er the cost. Oh, maiden, why that bitter tear? Is it for a dear one you've lost? Is it for fond illusion gone? For trusted lover proved untrue? Oh, sweet girl face, so sad, so wan, what hath the old year meant to you? And you, O neighbor, on my right, so sleek, so prosperously clad. What see you in that aged wight that makes your smile so gay and glad? What opportunity unmissed? What golden gain? What pride of place? What splendid hope, O optimist? What read you in that withered face? And you, deep shrinking in the gloom, what find you in that filmy gaze? What menace of a tragic doom? What dark, condemning yesterdays? What urge to crime? What evil done? What cold, confronting shape of fear? O haggard, haunted, hidden one, what see you in the dying year? And so from face to face I flit, the countless eyes that stare and stare. Some are with approbation lit, and some are shadowed with despair. Some show a smile, and some a frown. Some joy and hope, some pain and woe. Enough. Oh, ring the curtain down. Old weary year, it's time to go. My pipe is out, my glass is dry. My fire is almost ashes too. But once again, before you go, and I prepare to meet the new, old year, a parting word that's true. For we've been companions, comrades, you and I. I thank God for each day of you. There, bless you now, old year, and goodbye. That's kind of nice. It isn't bad, is it? That was Robert Service, called The Passing of the Year. And this is speaking of wrinkled, seared faces. This is WOR. And we're in New York, of course.
There's more Gene Shepard after this on WOR. And now on WOR, more of a tribute to Gene Shepard, who passed away on October 16th this year. Here's your host, Joey Reynolds.
Some things we'll never know about Gene Shepard. Was he an accomplished musician? Did he really know how to play the tuba? And who did he leave that kazoo to? He had everybody playing kazoo at Town Hall, a full house. And when we come back on the other side of the news, we're going to play that performance and his Limelight shows, which were live from the Limelight in Greenwich Village every Saturday night.
You know, I just sitting here contemplating the infinite, and the part of our vast public service broadcasting that we do here, of course, is to alert you as to the straws in the wind of various types of gifts that are going to be available during the Christmas season so that you can be prepared when the worst occurs. Well, for example, do you know that you can now get the first are beginning to make their appearance on the market? Yes, I have already seen the first faint hints that we're right back at the old stand. That is commercializing disaster. Well, you know, of course, the most popular games of all these days are games called Normandy Invasion. Well, that's making a personal disaster into a fun game. So there is a new game that is available for kiddies all over this land, and it's going to be ready for Christmas. Bring it on. It's called New York Defaults. And each one of you guys, see, you know how they do it? They play cards. First of all, you shuffle these cards, and you hand. I'm telling you, this is an actual truth. And you pull at random out of a set of cards a card that tells you what part you'll play. You'll pull one out that says John Lindsay. You play John Lindsay. Or then you pull another card out that says Albert Shanker. And then, of course, you demand all pensions at all times, as much as you can get. And that's your job. Your job is to fight Lindsay. And then you pull another card that says Poor A Beam. What you play that for? And it's right there written there, Poor A Beam. Then all the other players play Head of the Transport Workers Union.
We'll be back with more from the Gene Shepard archives after the news on WOR. On WOR, back to a tribute to Gene Shepard, who passed away on October 16th of this year. Here's your host, Joey Reynolds.
This is not a memorial service for Gene Shepard. This is a celebration of his broadcasts, one of which was from the Limelight every Saturday night. He did a live show in front of an audience, and as you know, no one ever looks like they sound on the radio. And I'm sure Gene, from where he was standing, saw us, and we never really looked like we sound either on the phones. Or whenever he met us in person, he probably was very surprised. Here's Gene Shepard at the Limelight.
I said at ease. If I don't get at ease in this company in 30 seconds, there is not going to be a company Christmas party. Let me tell you, in some companies that I have been in the Army, if they threaten you with no Christmas party, that was the best thing they could threaten you with. I'll tell you. Now, before we do anything else, I want all of you together, I want all of you to bellow out, Merry Christmas, New Jersey. I think that's nice. I mean, they have so little. It's not easy living out there in the darkness, you know. All right, now all together, now let's hear it. Merry Christmas, New Jersey. Oh. Now let's all together, let's give them a little compassion. All together, let's just hear it. Oh. And that goes for Philadelphia, too. Poor Philadelphia, laying out there in the darkness. Yeah. It's been out there for years. fact, I once went through Philadelphia. Took me a month and a half. I mean, because it's all relative, you know. But nevertheless, here it is, just about Christmas time. And out there, over those long, rolling fields, over the river, past Trenton. Then if you go the other way, past Darien, if you can get past that pot smoke. That big smog drifting out over Westport, you know. What are they clapping about? What is this? You poor idiot. There's nothing sadder than chauvinism. I mentioned Connecticut. It's a nervous reflex reaction.
I live there.
I know. Your nasal tone betrays you. Poor guy, that's sad. You know, if people, chauvinism is a terrible vice. I have a feeling if I hollered, hell, 8 guys would applaud. Automatically, you know, just applaud wherever you're from. Or where you're going. And out there in the darkness, they're all getting ready to celebrate Christmas. In countless homes within the sound of my voice, in closets, up on hat boxes, hidden behind golashes, there is a great, fantastic drift of electric toothbrushes. Wouldn't you love to get an electric toothbrush this Christmas? How exciting. It's just what I always wanted. You know, I'm such a terrible person. I can always see these awful things happening. This guy, the first morning, he says, everybody says, go in and try it, Daddy. I said, oh, no, you know. Why don't we wait till morning? I said, go ahead, Daddy. Gee, try it. The next thing you know, Daddy's in the John. He's had, you know, a couple of snifters of Southern Comfort, a little eggnog, and now he's got this crummy electric toothbrush. He's about to celebrate Christmas. He puts his ultra bright. By the way, don't you like the ultra bright commercials? That Indian, the teeth light up, you know. He puts his ultra bright on there, and the whole family is standing around watching Daddy. I wonder how many guys look around at this fantastic mess they're surrounded with. All these tall, thin, skinny kids with skin trouble. This angry wife. These people crying under the daybed. And wonders, how did all this begin? What did I do? That's all right. I'll hear that one? Did you hear that nervous giggle out there? He's got 74 people hanging on him. I could just see Daddy, though, tomorrow morning. It's Christmas. He's standing in front of that mirror. He's got his electric toothbrush. And he's wearing that smoking jacket that they gave him that he will never wear again. Smoking jackets are totally impractical. They're only good for polishing the car in. He's wearing his smoking jacket, and he's got on his new pajamas, the one that says his and her. That's such a sweet idea. And they're blood red, got little hearts, little devils all over them. You know, the real clever Christmas stuff. And here he has the centerpiece of the Christmas. He has an aquamarine blue electric toothbrush with his name on it. It says, Daddy. Standing in front of the mirror. All the kids. And the wife, you know, TV-type wife. You can see her in 1,000 TV commercials. In a couple of minutes, when he gets sick to his stomach, she will say, here, Charles, try a Phenamint. And he will say, why, yes. They have a pleasant, mint-like taste. Already my stomach is feeling soothed. And there's a brief pause, and you hear, whoa! She says, and it is fast acting. Have you ever wondered about those people that live in commercials, the wild things they say? There's two guys at a bar, and there's a bartender, and he draws them a couple of beers, and one of them takes the beer, and he says, "Say, it is mild, yet has a rich flavor." Has that ever once happened to you in the Bluebird? Either that's the usual comment that goes on in a joint like that when they draw the beer. He goes, "What have you been doing? Soaking a bar rag in this?" But here's Daddy now. We left Daddy standing there. Ah, you didn't think I was getting back, did you? You're dealing with a pro, I keep telling you. Daddy is standing there in front of the mirror. He's got his toothbrush. All right. Okay, turn on the switch. What kind of nuttiness are we bound on? Electric toothbrushes. No wonder the world is in revolt against America. All right, turn it on, he says. And you hear this little hum. And boom! It blows a fuse. And Daddy ain't got no eyebrows. His wife says, "Well, that's going back to Macy's."
We'll be back with more from the Gene Shepard Archives on WOR. On WOR, more of a tribute to Gene Shepard. Here's your host, Joey Reynolds.
This is Gene Shepard, the 1968 broadcast from Town Hall, where there were two performances on that night, both sold out, and everyone in the audience was given a kazoo, for obvious reasons.
Now, wait a minute now. At ease now. At ease now. Here, the way you play a kazoo properly. Now, these are really good kazoos. We went all over to get the best that you could. These are genuine professional type kazoos. I'm not kidding you. These are not Walgreens dime store kazoos. Now, look. Loosen this little screw top over that little paper diaphragm that's in there. See it? Just loosen it. A little bit, and then retighten it. But not very tight. Just loosen it, see? Feel that? Oh. Now, at ease now. I'll show you how to play this little baby. Now, take your mouth over the kazoo and heat it. Breathe on it. Like right over this little metal thing. Get that diaphragm warm. Okay, now let's hear a note. Listen to that. That's wild. This is probably, now seriously, this is probably the biggest kazoo chorus in the history of the world. I'm serious, a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Now let's get that sound again. All right, now. Oh, they're coming. Oh, no. Japanese SF movies, Listen to that thing. All right, now. It's no good unless you play a tune at Town Hall. Through thunderous applause. Now, who wants to request a tune? What should we play? Oh, wait a minute, Eddie's one at a time. What was that? What's that? Muddy Waters. I want to drink muddy water. All right, somebody says the Sheik of Araby. Yeah. All right. You know the tune? Ta-ta. Now, I'll give you the tune. Ta-ta, ta-ta. La ta 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 tu pa pa ru pa 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 ru ta 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 ru ta 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 ru ti 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 ta ta ru ti la ta ta ru ti ta ta ru ti. All right, all together now. I'll give you the beat. 1, 2, 3, go.
great.
Hi, this is Joey Reynolds on the Gene Shepard Show. A little bit out of character. I get to narrate. Gene, with his passion, got to narrate a live jazz radiothon for leukemia from the WOR studios. And here it is.
Coming to you live from the Big Apple, from New York City, studios of WOR. We'd like to sit in with us here for the next hour or so. We just sit around and listen to some fantastic music. The National Leukemia Society's Radiothon continues. And I'm Gene Shepard. You're listening to some really great people right now. Ultimate music. A kind of easy, late-night tribute, small, private, to the memory of a man who died quite recently of leukemia. And incidentally, a man who was a friend and a co-worker and a fellow artist of everybody here in this room tonight, Gene Krupa. So let's just sit back and listen to some of these great sounds coming to you from, the good old Big Apple, Avalon. Of course, I don't have to tell you, you're listening to Lionel Hampton, standing over there in one of his fantastic sport jackets. Bobby Rosengarten on the drums. Lionel, of course, is playing pipes. Cy Oliver is going to sing a little bit for us later. One of the great arrangers of all time. Boston's Ruby Bratt on trumpet. George Barnes from Chicago sitting over there playing his guitar. Zeke Mullins is on piano.
This is the year of the millennium, but the year of the bicentennial, which is 1976, was the year of the biggest remote broadcast ever in the history of WOR. And Gene Shepard was there, on top of the World Trade Center overlooking the tall ships in the harbor. And once again, here's Gene Shepard.
Earlier this morning, Gene Shepard atop the World Trade Center spoke of a tremendous view. Good morning, Gene Shepard again.
Good morning, Peter. This has to be the best view of this fantastic event. It is just staggering up here. It's a very breezy perch. The cool breeze is blowing across us here. And viewing it from the top of World Trade Center building number 1, and I'm right on the top. Looking down, it's like a tremendous bas-relief painting by the watercolor painter Don Kingman. The fleet is spread out all before us, and Jersey is laying out there quiet and peaceful. And I can see the Statue of Liberty standing there amid the whole fleet, very symbolically. And then directly below it, you can see Ellis Island, where so many of the immigrants came to this country, and what really, in a sense, this is all about. And directly below me now, off to my right, I see the 2 Israeli missile ships. These are the smallest ships, by the way, in the naval contingent here today. They're laying directly below us, bows pointed up towards the George Washington Bridge, and a few minutes ago I saw the crews aboard these ships being mustered for their orders. And looking down at Battery Park, Peter, where you are, Battery Park looks like a kind of a painting by Grandma Moses. You can see thousands of people. It's like a great fair. This has to be the biggest human event that I've ever witnessed, and it's probably the biggest human event since the invasion of Normandy. And by the way, it's quite symbolic that all these ships are here, because just 200 years ago, almost to the day, July 2nd, the British fleet steamed in, or rather sailed in. There were no steamships then. They sailed into these very waters and laid off Battery Park under the command of William Howe. And the people gathered down right where you're at right now and just watched this British fleet, and it put the fear of the flag in them. But this is a fantastic sight up here, and the haze is beginning to blow off, Peter.
There's more Gene Shepard after this on WOR.
When you were the one who needed it, who was always there to pick you up when you were down and cheer you on when you were winning, who gave you your first reason to smile, taught you right from wrong, and made sure you were eating your beets, who showed you that no matter how old you were, you had something to contribute. who believed in you. Your parents took care of you the very best they could. If it's time to return the favor, you can. At Atria Retirement Communities, we're improving lives through a greater knowledge of the aging process. It's how we provide seniors with a full, secure life while giving them the help they need. For more information, call or visit an Atria Retirement Community today. Atria, the wisdom of experience.
For information on our Connecticut, New York, or New Jersey communities, please call 1-800-986-5800.
Monday morning, rise and shine. Aerobics at 6, big meeting at 9. 3 sleepy kids to get out the door. Aren't you happy you don't have more? The cat needs a shot, the dog a grooming. That 2 p.m. deadline is still looming. On top of it all, you need a snack. One for you, the girls, and little Jack. Look in the fridge and what do you see? A big juicy bunch of simplicity. California grapes, that's what you need. 50-some varieties, with and without seeds. Grab a bunch and head out the door. Eat 'em in the car, heck, there's no core. Ball games, picnics, even at the beach. When it comes to no mess, they're quite a peach. Well, you know what I mean.
Sweet, delicious California grapes. They just have a way of making life a little easier.
When they trick or treat, give them something really good to eat. Sweet, juicy California grapes from Grand Union. It's scary how much they'll like them. California grapes at Grand Union.
Are you short on cash? Maybe you want to pay off some old bills that are piling up. Well, you can. Empire Diamond and Gold Buying Service, high on the 66th floor in the Empire State Building, will buy your unwanted diamond and gold jewelry and silverware at the highest cash prices so that you can have ready cash. Empire will evaluate your diamond and gold jewelry at no cost. And if you decide to sell, you'll walk out with the highest cash prices paid in over 60 years. You always feel at ease in Empire's friendly office. Empire's customers are treated like family and friends. You'll be waited on in a private office with no sales pressure. The decision to sell is strictly yours. Empire will never try to trap you by asking, how much do you want for your jewelry? Empire tells you the price. It's unethical to ask. An honest jeweler will tell you what he can pay without backing you into a corner. Sell your diamond and gold jewelry and silverware at the highest cash prices today so you can have available funds for your necessities. Empire Diamond and Gold Buying Service, 66th floor, Empire State Building, 5th Avenue at 34th Street.
And we're back. It's 3rd and goal number.
Ooh, tough spot. What's he going to call?
Gotta be a screen.
I think he's going deep. Maybe a bootleg.
18, 28, 49, 22, 7.
Long count. I think it's a run.
66.
Well, he must be trying to lure him off sides.
19.
The clock is running out. Hike the ball. Come on, hike the ball. What's he doing? I don't know what he's doing. But I like those numbers. Got a pencil?
Got some numbers in your head? Play Quick Draw. That great game from the New York Lottery is back. It's fast, fun, and just as exciting as ever. Just pick up to 10 numbers between 1 and 80, and if some of your numbers match some of our numbers, you can win some cash. Quick Draw. Want to play a great game? We've got your number.
83.
What's he doing now?
They asked him how many fingers they're holding up.
48.
Tune in to WNET every Sunday at 11 a.m. for New York Expeditions. Follow 10 exceptional high school students from Buffalo to New York City as they turn the Empire State into a living classroom.
America's talk and information station, Radio 710, WOR. And now on WOR, more of a tribute to Gene Shepard, who passed away on October 16th this year. Here's your host, Joey Reynolds.
They call it the graveyard shift, or overnights, the spot I now occupy. Gene Shepard had it for a while. It was right after Big Joe's Happiness Exchange and just before Long John Nibble. While he was the host of that show, he even did a live broadcast from the transmitter in Carteret, New Jersey. What a great imagination. Do you remember the time he got on the case of all the dog owners in New York City?
It's, oh, yeah. Well, for those of you out there who live in civilization, it's time to give you a brief report, the seasonal report, on what's happening here in the Big Apple. As you know, there's a fantastic dog population in the city of New York. In fact, there have been certain estimates made that said that the dogs outnumber the people in certain areas. Yes, oh, certainly, yes. And in some areas, they're even more intelligent. However, one thing that dogs do that most people don't do, and that is, let's put it this way, they have portable facilities. And also very little inhibitions about where they're going to use the portable facility. So I'd like to report now The last couple of days has been warm here in New York. And no, this is one of the favorite seasons for us in Splat. As you know, I'm an organizing director now. I used to be the managing director, but there was a lot of strife. You know what organizations are. As soon as they get organized, within 5 minutes, the factions break up. There's the fundamentalists, and then there's the radical crowd, and then there's the... it gets just sickening, you know. The Women's Lib crowd, for example, in our little Splat organization, said that we were unfairly discriminating against female dogs. Well, because female dogs simply do not use the same facilities that male dogs. For example, a female dog has a little trouble with a fire plug. So there was a lot of strife about that, and we argued for months over that whole issue. And I just finally says, I don't want to have anything to do with the whole mess. And then at that point, 5 other guys jumped up and says, don't use that word here. And I said, well, all right, the mess of pottage. And somebody else says, oh, yes, that's one of those new Welsh dog foods, right? And I says, no, now cut it out. But the Splat, for those of you who don't know anything about it, is a group formed here a few seasons ago. For those of you who have Ferrari in the bedroom, you'll find Splat very nicely outlined in that. Splat is the Society for the Prevention and Limitation of Animal... Well, radio just hasn't grown up yet. Splat. Figure out yourself. What is it you walk around and you keep stepping on all day long, right? Okay, I will repeat. Splat is the Society for the Prevention and Limitation of Animal... Right. And, well, you know, you got to come around and say it sometimes, buddy. I don't make the news. I only step in it. However, you just missed a good line. I'll repeat. I don't make the news. I only step in it. So, nevertheless, Splat has been having a fantastic series of great meetings. Just a moment. We're getting a report here from the research department. Hold on, research department. Just a minute. I'll press the green button here. Yes, research, yes. Okay, let's get ready for that then. We've just gotten a report now that that radio has grown up in the last 14 minutes since the show that Barry Farber just did, Sex and Your Airedale. And it just completely changed the whole attitude of radio. So I would like to say that the organization, if you'd like to join, if you really have, I'll tell you what you have to do, though. You have to prove that you have had at least 3 occasions when you were out with your new Indian sandals, and you were out and you were, you know, everything was great, the sun was shining, and you felt just wonderful, and you're walking down the street with your new Indian sandals and your new flare denim jeans, the whole thing, when all of a sudden, without any warning, yes, right there in the middle of 6th Avenue, and the next thing you know, people are looking at you funny when you're sitting in the office in your sandals. You know the whole thing, see. So you have to prove having been wounded at least 3 times in combat. In fact, I'll tell you what, one of the saddest cases we have a member of Splat of indeterminate sex, but that's not the point. We have a member of Splat who had this magnificent pair of russet slacks. They're just beautiful russet slacks made of aged burlap. They were lovely, Yugoslavian, just beautiful, with a rope belt, and just fine. And he was standing on the corner, waiting for a friend to arrive, when this small male dachshund arrived on the scene, saw the russet slacks, and thinking that it was one of these little red fire plugs, he let go, and my friend's new slacks just... He didn't realize they were not color fast. They ran all over the place. And furthermore, his friend arrived just at that moment and says, oh, my God, what's the matter with you, Dickie? This is sickening. And it just was a terrible scene. So all I can say to you, friends, if you'd like to join the organization, it is an organization called the Society for the... Society is the S, say SPLAT. Society for the Prevention and Limitation of... And if you'd like to join the organization, just send your name and address to SPLAT. SPLAT. I repeat, SPLAT. Again, this stands for, it's an acronym. It stands for the Society and the Prevention of Animal, and it's just growing by leaps and bounds. We have a new chapter in Cleveland that specializes, by the way, in Weimaraners. Because, you know, the Weimaraner, particularly in the Cleveland area, there's something in the water, and let me tell you, there's a lot of action in Cleveland. Just unbelievable. So for those of you who'd like to join, we'd love to have you. And what we do, you know what our slogan is? Kick a mutt in the behind today. Which is what our slogan is, especially if you can catch them in the act.
We'll be back with more from the Gene Shepard Archives on WOR.
Radio 710 WOR.
Middays in the life of WOR. Joan Hamburg's consumer advice will help you make the grade every morning at 10.
I wouldn't order anything from a company I didn't know about. If it's name brand and you know your furniture and the price is right, then you can do it. Get all the information.
Then stay tuned to WOR for Food Talk at noon with Arthur Schwartz for the food and dining information he'll give you in seconds flat.
Hi, this is Arthur Schwartz. When I was a boy, we went out to eat at least once a week. But you know why? Only because my mother didn't want to do the dishes or even get up from the table. You eat better at home. I'll tell you how to do it.
Then at 1 p.m., listen to Ken and Daria Dolan for all the advice you need to help you manage your money. No matter how small, they'll make sure you count it all.
An awful lot of banks are starting to sneak fees on them, up to $2 each time you use an ATM.
You want to avoid bouncing checks. But
all right.
Fees on bounced checks are astronomical.
Joan Hamburg at 10, Arthur Schwartz at noon, and the Dolans at 1 would love to turn you on America's Talk and Information Station, Radio 710 WOR.
It's Wednesday, and what's on TV tonight? Your choice of thrilling Wednesday sitcoms. Or that sleepy hour-long news show. Tonight, why not watch something that'll help you get over that Wednesday hump? Twice in a Lifetime on Fax TV. You'll see why they're calling Twice in a Lifetime the best new drama since ER. When you meet a school teacher that gets a second chance to lead a life of love. Twice in a Lifetime. Tonight at 8 Eastern Pacific, 7 Central Mountain, only on Fax TV.
These days, living a life of character and values isn't exactly easy. The changes keep coming faster. The distractions are more powerful. What you need is a crosswalk. Specifically, crosswalk.com. You can count on it for information that inspires you, entertainment that enriches you, and a community that supports you every step of the way. Crosswalk.com, the intersection of faith and life.
Clinical studies prove that aging is now a treatable disease, and one of the most promising discoveries is the role of youth hormone, which falls off rapidly after age 35. New technology now makes it possible to restore significant levels of this incredible hormone. With this discovery, your body can function much like it did 20 years ago. That's because youth hormone converts body fat into muscle, increases bone density, skin thickness, and energy, dramatically improves sleep, memory, and sex drive. Now, there's a new product called GHR15 that, when taken at bedtime, helps your body release its own perfectly safe youth hormone. GHR15 is effective for anyone over age 35. Over 50,000 people have joined the GHR AutoShip program, receiving special bonus discounts. So call right now, 1-800-300-1851. That's 1-800-300-1851.
Do you suffer from poor sexual performance or a decrease in your sex drive? If so, here's good news. Hi, I'm Dr. Mel Duckett. As a clinical urologist, I've helped conduct over 50 major studies in the field of sexual health. I've seen every possible remedy out there for improving sexual performance, but the only one that I recommend is all-new Viramax. Viramax, in easy-to-swallow tablets, contains a unique combination of ingredients that help support and improve sexual performance and increase sexual pleasure in both men and women. Viramax is safe, all-natural, and doesn't require a prescription. I've seen countless couples put the spark back in their relationship thanks to Viramax. If your sexual performance or desire isn't what it used to be, I urge you to call now.
Try Viramax risk-free for 30 days and ask about how you can get a free bottle with your order. Call 1-800-296-6209. That's 1-800-296-6209. Again, 1-800-296-6209.
1-800-MATTRES
Some people still can't imagine buying a mattress by phone until they call 1-800-MATTRESS and realize how easy it is, which is probably why 1-800-MATTRESS has become the largest tele-retailer of brand-name mattresses in America, with more than 1 million satisfied customers nationwide. It's really quite simple. Everyday low prices on the best selection of Sealy, Simmons, Serta, King Coil, and Slumberland, plus the highest-rated customer service in the bedding business. If you need a new mattress, call 1-800-MATTRESS. Visit one of the new showrooms or click on mattress.com, where the last S is always for savings.
1-800-MATTRESS. Radio 710, WOR.
Hello, Central. Give me Dr. Jazz. Hello, Central. Give me Dr. Jazz.
Now on WOR, back to a tribute to Gene Shepard, who passed away on October 16th of this year.
Have you ever noticed that plays and dramas, when you go to see, say, like TV shows and all, you watch a drama, you can always tell a second-rate drama. There's certain actors that are always in all the second-rate dramas on TV. For example, Hal Holbrook is in every third thing that's on television. And you know that's a quickie production. And he's always the concerned senator. Yeah, that's right. Cloris Leachman is in a lot of them, too. But nevertheless, they're never about anything that you can recognize. I mean, life is not like that in your house. And in fact, can you imagine what it would be like if anybody ever wrote a real drama, about the way fights and stuff happen in real families? I mean, about, the real problems. That first hit me when I went to see, I was at this time I was working in the actor's studio. I was in the actor's studio for a while, and they were always doing these scenes, see, from new, from plays and stuff guys were working on. I was even doing them myself. And once in a while, I'd get this strange sensation, I've never seen anything like this actually happen in real life. It only happens in drama. It's called drama. And people, live one way in drama, and real life is another thing. So I went to see Virginia Woolf. You remember that? I've never heard any man and wife argue like that. in real life, not about that kind of stuff. So I figured, well, drama's one thing, life is another. Literature is one thing, life is another. Movies are one thing, life is another. And I wonder what would happen if they ever came together. If a guy ever made a movie about the way life really is. I mean, it would be so totally inconclusive. I mean, absolutely no, just, a lot of sort of aimless talk, sort of fooling around. A lot of talk about absolutely irrelevant stuff. Yet it may be the only stuff that is relevant. In other words, the relevant stuff is only talked about in movies and films and plays. The real stuff that we're concerned about is talked about in life. Like endless discussions about how much gas mileage you get. I've never heard a guy in a play have a long argument with another guy about whether or not he should get as much gas mileage as he's getting. And yet I hear this all the time around here. Or a long discussion. Gee, boy, is this coffee rotten? Wow. And then there's a long discussion about rotten coffee. In other words, life... Now, here's what started me off. What a great idea for a one-act play. This is in Scotland. Now, you would never think of the Scots as being hot-blooded, would you? Now, if it came from someplace like Caracas, you'd kind of expect it. But this is Greenock, Scotland. A man who set fire to his father's house and burned it to the ground told police investigators he did it because his father and brother had beaten him in dominoes. Now that's a fantastic idea. Now if I wrote this play, you see these three guys sitting there, and it opens up, the curtain comes up, see, and you hear the faint sound of bagpipes in the distance. After all, it's Scotland. You have to set the scene. See, it is Scotland, and you see these three dour Scotsmen who are supposed to be passionless. Dour Scotsmen. They're supposed to get hung up on money and stuff like that. And one Scotsman is saying, he says, "Ach, aye." They always say that in Scotch plays. He says, "Ach, aye. Oh, there's a fine move here." And he lays the domino down. There's a pregnant pause. And the other one, you see his eyes slowly dilating. He says, "Ach, you have beaten me again." And at that point, he leaps up and runs out and into the John. You hear the water running. See, we're setting the scene. And then the second one says, "Oh, come on here and play another game. Come on." He hollers, "Come on, be a good sport and play another game." He comes back in the room and they start another game. He is this time beaten in less than a minute and a half. Well, of course, the final scene where the stage is on fire and the firemen are there squirting water, people are screaming, and they're carrying the kids out. One-act play called Passion in Scotland. Now, no one would believe it. I'll tell you. I'll guarantee you Clive Barnes would say it stretches the credulity that three Scotsmen would burn down the house over a game of dominoes. That's the only kind of thing people would do it over.
This is the most difficult guy to synopsize because he was long form. Gene Shepard. We did not want to do a biography on him or a memoriam. We just wanted to share some time. And I think we have done that. With a lot of chewing gum and mirrors and mostly love. I think the love of Gene Shepard is shown by the audience throughout the years, and now that he's gone, there's been a lot of obits written about him, as well there should be. And we really miss him. But the stuff tonight was tapes that we had gotten out of the hands of Herb Squire, who actually spent a lot of time with him, engineering and working with him for about 10 years. And Dan Mealy, who was an engineer that put all this stuff together for the last couple of days without filing for overtime. We're thankful for those guys. So thank you, and it's been a great night for radio again, and I hope Gene really appreciated what we've shared. We're going to be right back after we take another dose of Gene Shepard and a little parting shot, because you got to leave him with a song.
So Hindustan, where we stop to rest our tired caravan. Oh, Hindustan, where the painted peacock proudly spreads his fan. Oh, Hindustan, where the purple sunbird flashed across the sand. Yes, friends, there's many things under the midnight sun. There are many things in that dark corner. And there are long passages that lead all the way to the center of the sea and beyond. And out there, just past that place where the leaves no longer etch themselves against the sky, there are the hovering things with the great webbed wings, the hovering things with the yellow eyes and the curved beaks, the yellow eyes, the webbed wings, the things that live forever. They bump in the night. Out there, way out there beyond, past and gone, beyond the last galaxy of the eternal emotions that we can unravel and understand. Oh, Hindustan, oh, where we stop to rest our tired caravan. Now, I told you I shouldn't have told you this story, right, gang? I'm a dangerous man. Hindustan. Ah, yes. You feeling a little better, huh? Feeling better? Oh, just hang loose. Keep your knees loose. And think good thoughts over the weekend, friends. And, oh, by the way, don't make any really drastic mistakes tonight. I could go on and on. What was that poem? Let's see. I hope to see something about a purple cow. Was there ever a poem about a purple cow? No, couldn't have been. That's just mere trivialities. We won't bring that up at this point. It has no real relevance. Not at all to that rainbow. And those dark hovering things with the webbed wings, with the curved yellow beaks, and they go bump in the night, and that live forever. Oh, yeah. Well, a penny a day keeps the doctor away, friends.
Hi, this is John A. Gambling, an old friend of Gene Shepard's. You know, taking some of life's most inappropriate and embarrassing moments and helping us to see the funny side of them through story is what we love about Gene Shepard. And you know, here at Flemington Car and Truck Country family of dealerships, we've always had a great story to tell ourselves. Ford, Chevrolet, Dodge, Mazda, Nissan, Subaru, Isuzu, Pontiac, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Plymouth, Jeep, Infiniti, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, Lincoln, Mercury, and Porsche. All here in one convenient location. And better still is the happy ending with your absolute lowest price and delivered without the suspense. The Flemington Car and Truck Country family of dealerships, 20 brands, over 3,500 vehicles, one captivating story. Routes 202 and 31 in Flemington, New Jersey, or 1-800-NEW-CARS, or at www.flemington.com.
This WOR Radio special tribute to Gene Shepard has been brought to you in part by the Flemington Car and Truck Country family of dealerships at www.flemington.com.
Niche away, but it's that thing. Every year they aggravate us with the Yankees. You know, ABC has been carrying the Yankees, I guess. It must be about 10 years, right? Something like that, maybe a little longer. And they every year, you know, the ratings go up. It looks like they caught a wind, when actually all they did was just catch the Yankees. You know, if we had the Yankees here, you realize what we would have? We would be through the roof. We already are without them. Now, I guess we need the Giants back. No, we don't. We got the Gene Shepard shows are under our belt now. We did those tonight. I was just a little bit, I felt a little bad because I was coming back from the airport and I'm listening to the radio and I was on it. Doesn't make anybody feel bad. Turn the radio on and you hear yourself. That's a frightening feeling, you know. I mean, just picture it. You get off an airplane and you get in the car and you turn the radio on, you forget that it's you. And then all of a sudden you're there and you're saying, oh, wait a minute. I thought I was going to hear something else. I'm used to hearing Joy Brown. And there I was. And I was paying attention to the Gene Shepard show. And I know there's a lot of people want to make comments about it tonight, and we're welcoming you. I got Herb Squire here tonight in the studio with me this morning. Herb put all those wonderful tapes together because he's the man. And I'm sure if you listen to this thing for the last couple hours, you probably, if you're a Shepard fan, you probably want to say something. And this would be a good time. You know, we'll open the phones and you guys can call us at 800-321-0710. And as always, it's toll-free. I think when Gene Shepard was around, it wasn't toll-free. I think you really had to dial with the, you know, remember when you used to have those phones where you, what would you call that thing?
Rotary dial.
Rotary, yeah. It was a rotary thing. And you had to switch it around, and I don't think we had as many numbers, though, right? We had Mohawk 4568 or something like that. What was it, just four digits? 4568 or 63. It's like a PIN number. We used to dial a PIN number. Now, of course, there's too many numbers. You can't. And then if you have a cell phone and you're driving, if you're that luxury of driving in Manhattan, where you're looking down and it's illegal if you're kept. But you know, you're looking down and you dial the one and the area code and then the phone number you want, and it's longer than ever in history. Plus, you got another area code for every area now in this city. We've got 718, of course, it's out there in Brooklyn and Queens, and we just. You can't, there's too many numbers. I'm telling you. Besides that, my Social Security, my PIN, and they tell you when you make a PIN number to not use your Social Security because then someone could tap into that as soon as they get your Social Security card or find out what's going on with you in some other fashion, and they'll use that, and it works. And, you know, I mean, we're protecting ourselves. So you got to make up some numbers. So the numbers that I choose to use on my PIN, in case you want to use it, and you get one of my cards, is 710. And you'll always be one short, just like I am at the ATM anyway. Now, we got people on the phones, and that's what I wanted you to do. I wanted you to call tonight and talk about Gene Shepard. And first of all, let's say hi to Herb. Herb, you did a great job.
Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, what a collection. When we first started out doing this, and we realized that Joe Franklin's attic was closed, Joe sent me a 5-minute tape of Gene Shepard. I said, Joe, it's about 2 hours short for what we really want to do on the air tonight.
Well, knowing Joe Franklin's office, I can understand.
Yeah, he couldn't find it. He couldn't find 20 years of broadcasting.
Although my basement is not much better.
No? So where do you live?
In Great Neck.
All right, so you've been out there how long?
Oh, I've been out there, I guess a little over 20 years.
And you used to work at WOR, right?
Right.
You were an engineer?
That's right. I was here for 13 years.
Did you ever work with Gene Shepard?
Yes, you might say that.
Yeah, I would say. Produced the show.
It's a matter of... No, I did the show on and off for the 10 years that I was here, or the 10 years that our employment overlapped. I did Gene's show from 67 through 77. And also during the mid-70s, my wife and I syndicated the show to other, mostly public radio stations around the country.
Oh, you're the villain. You're the one who put them on FM, huh?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yeah. Better quality voice, too. FM does that, you know.
Well, it all depends on the radio.
Oh, this is true. And also it depends on the voice.
That helps.
Some people can never have a better quality voice. It doesn't matter. He was a particularly fussy guy, too, wasn't he? And we didn't say any of this on the special.
No, but no, Gene was very exacting. He knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
If you were an engineer in his studio, you had to pay attention because you were his audience. And so behind the glass in, say, old Studio 3, upstairs on the 24th floor, I could do a show, or one of the other engineers could do a show, and our reactions to his material made or broke the material. If we laughed, he knew he was going in the right direction. If we did a thumbs down, he knew that things were not going as well as he planned.
But he looked you right in the eye.
Oh, yes. We needed the eye contact.
Yeah.
And there's a legendary story that floats around here over the years about the time the engineers wore sunglasses or their shades.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't fly.
No. Well, it did at first. It was something. Bob Skidmore, who was the engineer who had started in 1964 and worked with Shep many times, as sort of a fun thing, he wore sunglasses to the show, and of course, Shep being hip and everything in that day and age, he thought it was, hey, that's cool.
my engineer is really cool. He's got the shades on, and everything was fine. And then for the entire week, every engineer went in and also wore shades. There was a house pair of sunglasses that was required to go in to do the Shepard show. However, as the weeks went on, Gene realized that some of the engineers, some of the old-timers, didn't really care about the show, but because they were assigned to do it, they had to do it. It was a convenient way to close their eyes and fall asleep. Suddenly, realization reared its ugly head, and that ended anyone ever wearing sunglasses in that studio again.
Well, see, that's the great thing about having a network show like this. You still have live people. I have a board operator there.
Oh, yeah. I think anybody who does a show, especially talk, needs to have a sounding board.
Yeah, you got to have something.
You have to have an audience.
And I'm glad that Tony wears that chicken outfit, too, because that kind of helps, right?
He looks like an henpeck, though.
Should we take some phone calls here tonight?
Sounds like a good idea.
Glad you said that. Lambertville in New Jersey. Tom is on the phone. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Just wanted to say that was a phenomenal tribute, and I actually see some similarities between you and Gene.
Oh, boy.
And I also wanted to know if you had heard the thing that he did with Charles Mingus called The Clown.
No.
Phenomenal.
Tell us about it.
It's this story about a clown who basically he's an entertainer, and then people start to lose interest, but then he becomes injured on stage, and the audience freaks out. They love it. They absolutely love it. And so now he has to keep recreating this where he gets injured every night, and then eventually he dies on stage.
Oh, boy.
Giving the audience what it wants. And Charles Mingus does this wonderful background music for it. It's incredible.
Yeah, he was just so many. I think I said it on the special. I forgot. I've said so many things, but he was so. It's so hard to just pick out something because there's so much. We could do this every night, Oh,
we could have spent weeks on this.
We could do this for a couple of years.
I also just wanted to say that you are also a phenomenal radio person. I think you're absolutely, completely amusing.
Well, thank you, Tom. Geez, that's a nice compliment. I really appreciate that. That's a nice one, isn't it? Boy, I'm not fetching now. Come on. Don't start looking at me like that. The kazoo. Do you have one?
No, I don't.
Why didn't we bring them tonight? I mean, of all things to not have with us.
I know.
Should keep them on ice, I mean, this is something that...
You never know when you need them.
No. We got Roxanne in New Rochelle, New York on the phone. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi, Mr. Reynolds. You know what? You've raised about 5 points in my book after broadcasting Gene Shepard. I got to tell you that about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I was wandering around on the Internet desperately trying to find Gene Shepard, and I'm so disheartened that he's passed. We all have a sorrow that he's passed, but I tell you, I really appreciate you broadcasting. I used to listen to Gene Shepard, my brothers and sisters and I, when we were kids. In the dark, listening to his stories of escapades when he was a kid, getting in trouble, getting in and out of trouble. I mean, there's so many stories that you didn't play any of the stories of that he tells of his childhood and the radio flyer, and I mean, it's just like there's so many excellent Gene Shepard hours that need to be rebroadcast immediately.
Well, let's ask Herb here. Now, Herb, why did we not play one of the Childs?
Well, that was the most difficult part of putting this montage of material together. The stories are basically long form.
Yeah.
And I tried a couple of shows that I knew were excellent stories. However, there was no way that you could cut the thread of the thought and the continuity of the story without destroying the whole mood of the piece. Gene's work needs to be done in a continuous stream because he builds to a climax, and if you interrupt it with commercial breaks and other interruptions, unless he were doing it himself live and factored those interruptions into the stream, it would work. But I found over the years of dealing with the show, editing shows for rebroadcast and for syndication over the years, it's nigh unto impossible to cut a show up and have any kind of continuity once you finish. And I think that would have been more of a disservice to his memory than what we did. By putting some of the other stunts and other little things he would do that were a little more off the wall, but all more representative of the radio broadcast, which don't show up in any of the films or TV programs.
Yeah, we try to stay true to form. That's why we have this fur top console here. We figured something from Flemington might be in order, right? And we got this here, so
very comfortable.
Get a little static electricity. And we'll be right back. Let's take a break. It's 800-321. Did he smoke?
At one time, yes.
Yeah, because it sounded it. I thought that when I was listening tonight, and I was thinking, I wonder if you smoke. It's 800-321-0710. Give us a call. We're talking about Gene Shepard, and we're going to dedicate this hour to talking about him. So if you want to say something, this is your time. We love the guy, and we are so happy to have him as. We're so happy to play his stuff tonight. It's a real pleasure. We'll be right back.
I was wondering when OR was going to get around to putting Shepard together a little tribute. I grew up with him, I guess, back from '63 after the March in Washington, from the shows he did on that to the Limelight.
What was the March in Washington?
Well, he did a little couple shows on that when Martin Luther King was down in D.C. there. And then when they went to the Limelight and they went on FM side. But there's so much you could have put in those 2 hours, and it's kind of a shame that we couldn't put more in there. From his stuff that he worked on with PBS, to Gene Shepard's America, to all the books that he had out.
Oh, Herb did all of that, you know.
I think...
Herb's right here.
Yeah, I know he's sitting there, but I just wanted to mention one thing that I found was very good. I happen to be visually impaired, and he recorded In God We Trust on Talking Book, personally.
Yeah.
So that's still available for any of your blind listeners who may want to get it. It's hard to find. But he actually recorded the whole book himself, which is very unusual back in those days.
Yeah.
So.
And who better to record it, huh?
Yeah, well, it was done with the right inflection, and some of the words that you couldn't say on radio came very clearly through on the talking book. And I just happened to pick that up a couple of months back and reread it again, and I didn't know at that time how close we'd be hearing his tribute, you know.
Well,
but you guys did it.
Herb here has got a picture with the casual one. It was Herb's, actually, his bachelor party. And it's Gene Shepard sitting against the wall of the Wiener World with Bob and Ray. Isn't that neat?
You know, he lived out here in Jersey, I guess. Up in Watchung, I guess, for a while.
Yes, he was also out in the western part of the state for a number of years as well.
And talked about his drives in on Route 22 and his Morgan and his Fiat.
Well, he was wearing jeans in this picture, just a casual shirt and jeans. That's the way he was a casual guy, wasn't he?
Yes, very casual.
And I happened to meet him when he was down at the Plainfield Library. We used to come to the libraries and do those talks. Especially, he came out to Clinton every couple years ago and did talks out there, too.
Yeah, I wish I had seen him. I invited him to be on the show a couple of times, but not directly.
But I appreciate that, Joey. I know there's a lot more that we could have wished that could have gone into the production there, but as you say,
we do it again, and we do another one. I mean, why not?
Great. You got enough tapes. You know, I've even got some, too. I'll send you stuff.
See, if there's a swell like there is now, and you know there is, this is the number one guy on the Internet. Everybody loves him, and they always want to hear. You can't get enough of him. It's a cult following. When I use the word cult, that's not a disrespectful word. It's a positive one. There's as a matter of fact, I remember Sam Kinison saying that once. He said, "You're very cult." You know, and I took that as an insult. It means that you have a following.
The real memories that I have of an unusual program that Shep was on was the night of the blackout in 1965. I was down in Philadelphia, so we had power. So I was able to listen all night, and the OR coverage was fascinating because all around the time of Shepard's show, it seems like everybody from OR was up there, and I've always wondered whether there was a tape of it because I know all the machinery up there was not really working.